but she's not the focus of our video today. She's just here to say hi. Today, we have a special package from Andrew. Now, if you know anything, I met Andrew a while ago. Guess like back in May and June, and he gave me this in trade-off for some other things, and he said he was going to send me something. And after we were both quite busy for some time, it's finally shown up. So, why don't we unbox this item and see what it is? With no further ado, let's get into it. Remember also, please don't ask Andrew for stuff. He's not going to send you something. He's a very busy person, so please don't bug him for stuff like this. This is something which has sat in his house for years and collected dust, and he wanted to have a new home, and it's found one, which is mine. It'll be Grandma Otis's best friend, probably, I don't know. But, this item actually has been featured on his channel before. It was featured on one of his episodes. I'll put a link in the description, and you probably already know what this is, knowing me. So, yeah, always remember, practice safety with these two, unless you're me, and you still find a way to hurt yourself even when doing it safely, but you're not me, so you need to practice it safely. So, why don't we open this package? I have already concealed the address and put it on the other side, so we're opening this upside down. I know, you're not supposed to open boxes like this, but I never do things in the orthodox way. Okay, let me find out how to open the box. That would be helpful. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put the camera down like this. I hope you guys can see this, but I really don't want to hurt myself, so yeah. Just gonna try to get it in the frame here. Oh yeah, never cut toward yourself. It's a bad idea. I'm only doing it because, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, we're getting closer to the grand unveiling of the item. Okay, I think it should be open now. Okay. Here's how it opens. Again, I'm gonna put the camera down, I guess. Might as well put the knife away too, because we don't need to hurt ourselves. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and open this thing up. And okay, why don't we find out what this item is? Oh, I already see an electrical cord, so it's something electric. And here it is. And is there anything else in the box? I don't think so. Nope, just some packing materials. Okay. We don't need any packing materials, so go ahead and put these on the floor. Here's the item that we are after. Yeah, it's got a cord. It's cold because it's been outside all day. And USPS has been lovely in getting it to me. Oh, I think we just gave it away. We'd probably give it away what it is by now. I'm not going to get out the cutter again, so yeah, let's see here. What is it? Oh, it's big. Here it is. Feels like it's, yeah, this thing is good quality, whatever it is. Okay, why don't we start unveiling it from the shrink wrap? Okay. Director 2, I wonder what that could be. Seems like it's good condition. Okay, I'm gonna get it out of this bubble wrap right now, and then I will show you the item. Wow, this thing's beautiful. It's an old piece of technology, I'll say that. And here it is, Andrew's old Director 2 calculator. Featured on one of the Dieselducy show episodes, it's now here, in a new home. And you know what? We're gonna cut to testing the item now, as this is gonna be its first time ever being tested since it came here. But we can get an overview, I guess. Keyboard style buttons, vintage on-off switch, Eldorado Electrical Corp. I actually learned a lot about them. Notice how it has a smaller serial number? So, for those who don't know, Eldorado Electrical was a company that made electrodata stuff, computers. They got in the calculator business in the 70s and went out of business directly afterwards because they failed. These things are known to have a flaw, apparently. And this is one of the few that hasn't died. And I hope it wouldn't. It was only on earlier models. This must be a later one. But now, let's test the item for the first time. So, we'll be right back. And here's the calculator after cleanup. Yes, I'm filming this on another day when it's light outside, but here it is. This is just a similar calculator. It's a bit newer. This one's a Sears. I'm not demonstrating it today. I'm just having it here as a set piece. If you would like a demonstration, though, I'll gladly do one if you ask for it. And this is just something Andrew gave me, which I just thought I'd put something in that Andrew gave me since he did give me this calculator. So why don't we do a demonstration of it? Instantly turns on. Sometimes you have to wait a few seconds. This thing is very weird. It operates like no other calculator I have, which is interesting. This also kind of acts differently, but it's a money machine, basically. It's more of an adding machine than anything, so that explains this. But this thing is not an adding machine. This is a desktop calculator. Very old one, but it's still a calculator. So I'm just going to show you right now how interesting this thing is. Now, first of all, notice it displays behavior when I press equals. It does that. Now, addition works fine. All the operations work perfectly on this thing. I've tested them all. I even used it to do my math homework. And it did get all the problems correct, so there is no problems with the operation of this thing. It's just really interesting behaviors it gives off. For example, if we want to do 7 minus 1, that's not the right answer. Well, that's because this calculator doesn't do subtraction. It only does addition. It only does addition, multiplication, division. There's no subtraction here. What it's actually doing is adding a negative number. So if you want to do 1 minus 7, you'd have to do 1, which that'll make it minus 1 plus 7. And there, now you get 6. Which is a very interesting behavior. And also, if you use this as the equals button, it'll just give you negative 13, because that's what 7 plus 6 is. Because it's just adding negative numbers. It is not subtracting, which is quite unusual. This actually does it too, but apparently most financial machines are like that, so that's to be expected. Also, multiplication works fine. 8 times 9 will give you 72, like any other calculator. However, notice this K button. Usually on calculators, if I did like 1 plus 1, if I had 4 things that cost $1, I could just press equal sign. But see here, it's not going to constantly keep adding. Constant only works on multiplication or division. You heard me, right? Multiplication or division, that's all it works on. So if I typed in 2 times 2, it'll just keep timesing it by 2. Which I don't see how that would be helpful, but I guess it was back in the 70s/60s when this thing came out. Not sure of the age of this one, but I'll show you why I think this one might be a late 60s model, though Andrew might know. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the story of this calculator until about 2012 when it was featured on a Dieselducy show episode. And if you watch that episode, well, this calculator now lives here, of course. But let's demonstrate division now, and K with division. So normally when I do division, just going to demonstrate, let's do 128, divide that by 2. You can only do it once. Now if I did 128 divide 2 again with the constant, I could go back down to 2. Just like that. Which is interesting how it only works on a multiplication and division but not addition or subtraction. Or should I say adding negative numbers. But that's just one thing about this calculator that's weird. Now let's go over the behavior of this thing. This thing does not blank the display when it's doing a calculation. It will show exactly what it's doing on the chip side of things on the display. And according to a video I watched, the best way to demonstrate this is just to divide a bunch of 9s by 1. Watch this display. As you can see, it goes a little crazy while it thinks of the number to put on the display, which would be itself, since it's being divided by 1. Another interesting thing is, I have another calculator from the 70s, very similar to this one, but it's much smaller and it uses a different display, and it also has a problem. This one doesn't. Also, it's a portable one with a battery compartment. This one does not take batteries. It is 120 volts only. When you do that one, if you do 0 by 0, it'll tell you it's 0, which it's undetermined. But if we do it here, it'll just give you a weird look. Because it thinks that you're weird because you tried doing 0 divided by 0, and there's no determined answer to that problem. And that little square, by the way, means error. Also, I pressed too many numbers, error. And this is a TI chip in here because you can see that very similar behavior on other TI calculators, or calculators with the TI chips in them from the age. the way it forms the 9s and the E when you press too many buttons. This only does 8 digits, so it does have a section for a 9th digit, which only displays errors, negative numbers, or the little square, which is a very weird behavior. I've only seen it on a few other calculators from this time. So yeah, that was a demonstration of the calculator. Why don't we just talk about something I find interesting about this thing. Also notice how it turned off. On the back you can see it is manufactured by Eldorado. They were a company that made big computers and servers back in like the 60s. And they got in the personal calculator market apparently. And in 1974 they went bankrupt because their calculators were failing. Apparently these things, or some of the very early ones, had a chip failure where static would kill the chip, and well then it would be worthless because, yeah, and this would have been a very expensive thing back then. Like a digital calculator. This was one of the first digital ones probably ever made. So that would have been a very expensive repair, and well, people were probably furious too, since they just bought an expensive calculator and died on them like that. This one I think is definitely older because I've seen it on Google Images. I saw a picture of a newer looking label that had a higher serial number than this, but the label looked so much newer on it. It looked like something you would see out of the 70s. This looks like something out of the 60s. I'm assuming this is an early 60s unit, or no, a late 60s unit, or an early 70s unit. I don't think that... It's from before 1974 when the company went bankrupt, but... yeah, not much is known about these either because there are not very many that are still left that work. I'm assuming this is one of the ones that did not have the flaw. Also, another thing to note, this thing has a grounded plug on it, so this thing must be drawing some serious power to need to have a grounded plug. Even this thing, which has a printer on it, has a non-grounded plug, so I don't know why on earth it has a grounded plug. Also, another complaint about this calculator is the plug is really weird on this thing, and it's kind of hard to plug in, and it looks kind of dangerous. But that's not a problem with this, and this thing otherwise works perfectly. And again, huge thanks to Andrew for giving me this calculator. It's one of my favorites already. Yeah, I really like it, and it's gonna now be displayed here along with all my other old stuff. And if there's any requests, I will gladly demonstrate other calculators in my collection, as I have quite a few more vintage ones that are more... Some are probably even more interesting than this. So yeah, that was a not so in-depth review of / demonstration of the Director 2 calculator that Andrew sent me. And that's it.